people say I like all sorts of music, I dislike all sorts of music. I dislike most music most of the time.
Live from the Willie Nelson and Friends Museum Showcase in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Music is Funny. Musicians talking to comedians about music and comedy. With your hosts, Raylan Nelson and Jonathan Bright.
So smoking, I'm so high, I keep toking, I'm drunk, but I'm still drinking too.
Welcome back to Music is Funny. I'm Raylan Nelson.
And I'm Jonathan Bright from the Raylan Nelson Band, back with one end of the year last unnecessary and ridiculous intro.
I was wondering for the rest of the season if we could change your name, Jonathan Bright, to Marianne Bright. You know, because may your days be merry,
Ridiculous
and
and unnecessary. So we're going to end the year the same way we started the year, with one of our favorites and a comedic legend.
Be light. Is that what it is?
Mr. Doug Stanhope.
You got rid of the mohawk.
Yeah, I didn't go with the suits.
No?
No, I always wear like vintage 70s, plaid leisure suits, used car salesman suits on stage. And yeah, I just couldn't do the mohawk and the stupid suit. Incongruous.
Right.
Did you just do it yourself? You just took a razor or a electric shaver and did it?
Yeah, I just take a shaver and shave it down and then have one of the gals clean up all the spots I missed in the back and that I can't see.
Yeah. It looks good. I like it. I like the no hawk. No hawk.
I have an abnormally large head in the back, so it's hard to get all the spots.
Well, yeah, we started this whole thing with you as number one guest, and we figured what a great way to end our year.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, was it just overnight that your success increased after being on our podcast, or was it more of a gradual thing?
It cured me of COVID.
Wow, there you go. Yeah, we were deep into it when we first started talking.
I know. And we're still evidently deep into it, but I pay about as much attention now as I did then. I'm just still sitting on the fucking couch. What's the matter?
Yeah.
We were supposed to play a show in Hawaii in the summertime, and then Thomas, our agent, just told me that Omicron's taken over Hawaii, so everybody's got it, but nobody has any symptoms. Nope.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they even know they have it then, but whatever.
Yeah, if just one of these fucking professional sports players would die, it would give it some kind of legs. But I mean, when you have the entire, NFL and NHL has fucking COVID and they're fine. Yeah, I would love another lockdown just for my own personal reasons, because I really enjoy sloth. And I excelled at sloth during COVID, and I had a reason for it. I didn't feel like I should be doing something. But I don't know that I'd want the civil war that would ensue with another lockdown.
No.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Skank Fest.
Oh, yeah. I saw you on some podcasts up there.
Yeah, I did Skank Fest in Houston this year, and I go, all right, if I can't get COVID from that, I was crowd surfing.
Really?
Yeah, with the filthiest anti-vaxxers in the world.
Yeah, in Texas, they're not.
I also saw some amazing, you did got some amazing face painting done while you were there.
Yeah, I kept that lady in business.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but I saw a few things. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What
were you doing?
I found a nice spot on a balcony above the bar, so I could just look down on the whole sea of, filthy humanity. And the girl was set up right underneath me, and no one was going to her. So I go, let's make her the most famous thing on the boardwalk. So I was getting my face painted, and then someone would come by and go, "Hey, Doug Stanhope," and I go, "You're next in line. Get ready." So we had her lined up the whole weekend.
Maybe for people that didn't see, could you explain what you had painted on your face and how? What did you ask for when you did that?
I think the first one was very Alice Cooper-esque or from what I remember. And then the next day, I just had a big flowery dick painted across my forehead with balls on my temple, like I passed out first at a party at an art school.
That's what I remember.
That's the one I saw.
But yeah, it also was there was self-interest there because as much as I was drinking at Skankfest, it covered up my bloated fucking eyes.
So what's it been like getting back out doing comedy? Because I know you've been doing some since, like, when did you first get back out, and was it weird, or like had you lost anything?
It was like a year and 3 months, year and 6 months. I started in August of 21, and the first few shows were really rough. Just trying to put sets together and working straight off of yellow legal pads and just suffering through. But the audiences were animals as well. They hadn't been out as long as I hadn't been on stage, so yeah, they acted like they were first time drunks too. But it's again, I don't really do much on the road. I'm not one of those people that has interests and wants to go see a Wrigley Field or something. Yeah, I do my show and I don't really talk to anyone, and I drink in my room or at the hotel bar. And so, yeah, I wasn't really exposed to anything.
Yeah, we don't do that either. When we travel, we don't go see the things.
No, who's got time for that?
If you drive by them, that's cool, I guess, but we don't go see them.
I feel really bad that I don't have any interest in things. Whereas I think it's okay to thrive. Yesterday, I wanted to spend all day in bed because it's winter solstice. So it's the shortest day of the year. And I go, well, if I can't spend all day in bed on the shortest day of the year, I'm not really putting the effort in. But of course, there's always something comes up, and there's always someone visiting. My manager came down with his wife and his dog. And I go, you're here for a week? It's an awful long time to be fucking social.
I agree.
Right around Christmas too. Yeah.
Yeah. Christmas is it's not really something that I get into.
What do you? Yeah, me either. What do you?
Like this year we have football. Football is the only thing I do on a regular basis, where I have a bunch of friends, neighbors, and stuff that come over and potluck it. And so there's football on Christmas Day. So that's our Christmas. The same thing. Football.
Do you do the fantasy football thing?
No, I don't have that kind of. I don't even really. I've been watching football my whole life, and I don't really know how it works. I like the uniforms. I like pretty uniforms. I don't know the difference between a safety and a cornerback or a 3-4 defense. It's all lost on me. I bet on it.
Yeah, you do based on uniforms.
Depends. I get a feel for it. It's the same way I bet on roulette. Just that seems like, I think 17. I got a good feeling about this.
Yeah.
And then I lose.
I got a system.
Yeah. I bet 10 or 20 bucks, sometimes $5, just to have money on the game.
It does make watching it a little more interesting. You get a rooting interest no matter what the score is.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, gambling. Once I didn't need the money, gambling, like when I go to Vegas now, I don't fucking gamble. It's just like, because if I won, I'm like, well, if I won $1,000, I'd say, well, I already have $1,000 that I have nothing to do with. What am I going to do with another $1,000? Look at it.
So we've established Christmas. What about New Year's? Have you done a bunch of New Year's Eve? Like, what is a New Year's Eve gig as a comic like? Because it seemed New Year's, once you get, 23 years old, it's just amateur night everywhere you go if you step out into public.
Yeah, I went at least a decade where I didn't do New Year's Eve. Halloween is the worst. Halloween is the worst for a comedian because Halloween is all about me. People dress up and they want to be the center of attention. They don't want to go watch someone else be the center of attention. They're dressed up as whores or fucking, whatever.
No, you nailed
Just
it. Whores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah.
But for New Year's, I didn't go out I think the last New Year's show I did before last year or the year before, last working year, was in Alaska just because it was my friends. And then I did 2019. I did because we have the Plaza in Vegas, which I love. And but yeah, you go downstairs at 8:00. I tell my jokes, and I go back up to my suite. They give me a smoking suite, and anytime it's smoke in your room, and have my own bar. Fuck yeah!
Do you smoke in your room?
Your friends there.
Do you smoke in your room
Vegas,
when you?
Yeah, it's such a rarity. Even times where I've quit smoking, like I remember going to Costa Rica after I'd quit smoking for a year, and you could smoke everywhere. You could smoke at breakfast. You could smoke at the bar. You could smoke in your room, and cigarettes were like 75 cents a pack. I'm like, we're losing money if we don't start smoking again. This is crazy.
How are your airplane miles doing this year? You still hanging up? I know towards the ends of the year you were flying around trying to make stay on that level. How you doing this year?
Yeah, well, Delta was really cool that they kept your status, where it was. They didn't because of COVID. And then when I started doing dates, I was there's no planning whatsoever. Okay, I'll play Kansas City and then Philadelphia and then San Francisco all in a row. So I was cranking up the mileage.
We've done dumb shit like that, but driving to and from those gigs.
I just want to get back to the smoking in the hotel room for a second, because I definitely. Do you ever just try to open that window just a hair and just hang out by the window? Because that's what I do.
Well, you must. Yeah, then you stay in some sketchy motels
because yours doesn't open. I mean, like a Hampton Inn, most of the Hampton Inn.
No, I think he's right. We stay in sketchy motels.
I can't remember the last time I had a hotel where the window opened.
No, it just opens like that much.
Nowadays, in the sketchy hotels, they'll hammer in like a Allen screw or something. So it used to open, and they'll just hammer a nail or something.
Oh yeah, now it opens that much. Now I carry a can of Ozium.
Oh, that stuff's great.
Yeah. And then I just smoke in the room with the towel underneath. And in the morning, I just douse it. I just completely annihilate it with or Axe body spray. My tour manager brings Axe body spray every time we go out because you can't smell anything after you douse a room with Axe body spray.
Yeah, I knew you had to smoke. And if I'm being rebellious and smoking in hotel rooms, Doug Stanhope is definitely doing that.
That's true. And we've used the Ozium the same way with our rental vans when we would fly in and have to rent a van, and driving around for a week.
Oh, yeah. You can't smoke in rental cars, but we just did anyway.
We only got popped once, I think.
In Colorado.
For 10 years. We
$250 they got us for smoking in there.
I would just charge those back and say, no, I work in smoky environments. I smell like smoke, but I didn't smoke in the van. And if you can't prove that I did, you didn't say I can't smell like smoke. You said no smoking.
It's a good point. And that was the first one, I think, that we maybe a couple before that. We've got more. I thought about the same thing. I was like, we should have just said, no, I didn't smoke. Didn't smoke.
Also, that gig, we didn't get paid anything. Remember the second guy?
Yeah, it was one of the
guy gypped us $4,000. So then, not on top of not getting paid and having to pay a band,
we got popped for an extra $200.
Yeah, we should have bitched about that. I'm going to do that from now on.
They fucked you out of $4,000?
Yeah, that's a funny story. Actually, you went to him to.
Yeah, well, we got up there. We had two gigs. We had this one.
That's right.
This one guy had called and has been trying to get us to play there, and we're like, dude, we're in Nashville. It's going to cost some money to get out there. Well, it just so happens like an hour or so, 2 hours, 3 hours up the road. We had a legit gig at like a afternoon festival in Eagle, Colorado, I think. Yeah. So the next 2 days, that was on a Thursday. The next 2 days, we're supposed to play Friday and Saturday at this place. So we pull up, and the first clue was we were supposed to have this really nice hotel, and it turned into this really sketchy, 1970s hotel right across from the Denny's.
And this guy had played bass on the first release of Crimson and Clover.
I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm pretty sure that's what he told us. But anyway, so
you can fact check shit with Google.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really give a shit about that, but I was like, well, let's get a contract. We didn't get any money up front, which was a terrible mistake. But it was we had a contract and everything, but we show up to go check out this stage that we're playing that evening, and they're still hammering together this tiny plywood stage in the middle of a gravel parking lot. And it's this old dude. And I'm like,
we're supposed to play in 3 hours or something, and they're still hammering.
There's no PA, nothing. They're still trying to put a stage together. And I'm like, I have a really good feeling about this, but at least we got a guarantee. We show up and what, like maybe 4 people were there.
Yeah.
Like this guy was just trying to invent an outdoor concert series, and it was a terrible promoter. So then after that, like, we should just bail. And he's like, well,
And he kept the hotel rooms didn't work because he said that the credit card didn't batch.
yeah. And I was like, what the fuck does
What does
batch?
batch
And we still don't
mean?
know what that means. I was still trying to batch, but I got you in this other one, and
Which is way shittier.
just waiting for it to batch. So then we go back the next night. He's like, tomorrow night's going to be better. Trust me. Maybe 8 people. And that's because a large band had opened up for us. It had like 6 members. So they made up the difference.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the night, I went for a check, and he looked at me like I was offending him by asking, but he scrawled out one, and sure enough, it bounced. That card never batched, Doug, apparently.
Nothing. And he kept saying that. It just didn't batch. I'm waiting for it to batch.
So was there an actual bar that this was part of?
It was like out of the back of a fucking antique dealer or something. Or
Yeah, it was
a
in the
record
middle
store.
of the town. It was outside, So, but I mean, it allotted.
So you don't even have the recourse of like getting fans to fucking trash his Yelp page or
No.
Not at that time either. Definitely not.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like he was just trying to build something and thought that people would come. And that doesn't work.
I got 2 stories. Well, one time we played, it was called the Poorhouse, a really tiny dive bar in Fort Lauderdale, I believe. And we showed up and there was no stage. So, and it's a standing audience. So I'm standing where a stage would be in the bar, and I'm short. I'm 5'7". So if the front row is taller than me, nobody else can see me, which is not good for comedy. You really need to see the guy. You can get away with music playing and you don't see the band, but with comedy. So I try to stand like up on the bar stool, and I'm not a real agile person. I'm no fucking Nadia Comaneci, but I'm standing on this bar stool trying to keep my balance with a cocktail and a microphone on this rickety. So Chaley, my tour manager, goes in the back. He sees some plywood slabs, not the what do you call it? The crates there.
Those milk crates. Yeah.
Milk crates and anyway, there was slabs of some kind, and then he got cases of beer, and they built a stage while as I'm doing my act. He's building a stage while I'm standing on a bar stool, stacking milk crates, and then puts a slat of plywood or something on top of it. And then while I'm doing the show, a stage has been built. It was beautiful.
That's like Pink Floyd, the Wall tour.
By a booker once, where he filled out the check and he put the number amount in the number, and then he put a different amount where you write in the amount. So, and we didn't notice it was the first gig on a tour. So it was weeks later before I deposited it, and they fucking said, no, this is no good. And then he wouldn't answer the phone after that.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. Everybody's like, well, you should have had a contract. I'm like, we did. He's got no money. We can't go get it. He's got nothing.
I mean, how many times did you just...
Oh God, I had him on the phone for 2 hours just berating him, and I almost felt bad, but
But also, we had to pay for that.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't feel that bad.
Yeah.
And then you smoked in the van.
And then we got dinged for that. And they didn't even build a stage while we were playing. At least yours was like Pink Floyd, The Wall. You start the show and then they build the stage around you. But we didn't have any of that.
You need a better tour manager.
Yeah, well, we were our own at that point.
Yeah, that was really early on.
You got to remember, Doug, we got
didn't know
4
shit.
people before we can even hire anybody else. Comics get that one person that's the talent. And then we already got a van fucking full of people, and they throw another asshole in there, start to cut in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a nice hammock. My grandpa helped us out after that, so we can't complain too much.
Yeah, that's true.
Once he heard about it, he, helped out. He started paying for travel.
For a little bit.
Yeah. Not anymore, though. We're paying for our own travel now. What?
You're a big girl now.
Yeah, I'm big girl now. It only took 10
I don't need
years.
you, Grandpa.
Dude, we listened to your, not the last book. What is it? This is Fame. What's the name
we
of that
did.
book? We
listened to your whole book.
It got us to Florida and back the last time we did a run there.
Oh, nice. The last one was No Encore for the Donkey. That's the one that still isn't out in print.
we listened to the one before that. What was the one before that?
With Dr. Drew.
This is not fame.
Yes, that's the one we listened. Like, how long does it take to record an audiobook? It was like 13 hours or something listening to it. How is that an easy thing since it's your words, or is it kind of?
No, it's I am the worst reader. I'm worse than Bill Burr. I don't know if you've ever heard him try to read ad copy on his podcast.
I love it.
Fucking it up. Yeah. So for me, it was, and you can see the strain in everyone's face as I fuck it up again and mutter, and I'm terrible at it.
But I was so glad it was you doing it, because whenever you listen to books on tape that are not the person, like my grandpa.
Oh, this fucker. We were driving to Texas one time. She's like, oh, I got Papa Willie's book on tape. It's going to be great. He reads like the forward, and it's like, no, I'm going to pass it on over to my good friend so-and-so to read the rest. I'm like, really? That we got the forward? Pull that shit out.
We turned it off. Yeah. Because you want to hear it from the person's voice. I'm glad you did it, even though
I remember they used to have it was called Audio Adventures. When I was living out of my car in the 90s on the road, and it was great. You'd get them at like Flying J truck stops, and you could return it at any other location, TAs or Flying J's or pilots or whatever. And they're usually shitty books, so it was a lot of Slim Pickens and a lot of Louis L'Amour, or it's like Soldier of Fortune kind of shit that would appeal to truckers. But you'd find some good stuff. And I remember I got Stephen Hawking, whatever the fucking meaning of life thing is, his big book that he got, and it's him reading the book, which I found out later. He only did the foreword just like that, but I didn't get that far. I thought, I'm not listening to for fucking 19 hours.
The robot.
Someone else who had listened to it on tape said, "Oh no, he just did the forward." Then they had a real guy come in. I didn't give it long enough.
So do they set up do you do it all in one shot? Not one day, but do you set up like a week to go in the studio and read all that shit, or is it just drawn out over do you have to do it at the house?
Yeah, we do it at the house. We have, we're set up for our podcast. So right. Yeah, we did it here, and we had the first two, we had someone actually at the house that flew out. And then the last one was during COVID. So they would just had them zoomed in to, give notes. And we did it like over 3 days, 6-hour days.
God, that's a long day of reading.
Well, that means I was fucking up half the time, because it was twice as long to record it as the final product. But I hate it.
Whose idea was it to put the banter in between chapters and the calling out? Because that's some of our favorite shit, is when you guys got in between chapters, like, oh, this is actually how the story went, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the first two we did that on. I didn't do it on the last one because I felt that the writing was good enough that would just fuck it up. But the first two, I love that idea. I mean, I wish all comics books on tape, if they're road stories like that, because everyone has different memories of exactly what happened, and to cut away from the road story and then go into, I remember the first book, or maybe it was that one. I was talking about this waitress that I had a beef with at a club in Chicago, and she hated me, and she told me I saw your act and I thought you were absolutely disgusting. And then I end up playing there again, and she's still working there, and I'd given her shit on stage that night. So I came in with her hating me, and cut to a few cocktails after the show. A hotel window that did open. I had her bent over outside the window, fucking her in the ass. And I write the story of the book, and then she came down and she was on the podcast, and she's going, first of all, you didn't come in my ass. You came on my back. All right, this is why we're doing this.
Fact checker.
Clear up any kind of confusion. Oh yeah, well that was the payoff. Is after I came in her ass or on her back, I leaned into her ear and I go, I just want you to know, I find you absolutely disgusting.
I went out to LA earlier this year and did Dr. Drew's podcast, but it was his live one, and at the time he was getting canceled from YouTube. So you would think I was lying if you went to go watch this right now because there's no evidence of it. But I was talking to him about our podcast and how he had you on, and he showed me the box that Bingo sent him, like as yeah, with all the little notes and stuff. And there's like 400 notes in it or something. Yeah. But he loves you guys. He
was very helpful with her going through, psych stuff and eating disorder stuff. And he's just like, I've never trashed anyone in my act on a special as hard as I did, like personally, gratuitously, over the top, wishing him, like, not just wishing death upon him, but all sorts of odd tortures. I was so into Celebrity Rehab, and it was such bullshit. Like, that show was like, okay, you don't create conflict with people that are in crisis. Okay, today we're going to send you with boating with Gary Busey on your fourth day of sobriety. No, you don't do that. Like, well, that was the producers. That was their idea. I go, but your fucking name's on the show. The buck stops with you. And he agreed, and he was very sweet about stuff. And yeah, then we became friends after his podcast.
How did you reconcile that? Like, what was it like meeting him the first time after you'd been trashing him?
Well, he asked me to do his podcast after that special came out. His guy emailed me and said, "Hey, Dr. Drew would love to have you on his podcast." And I'm like, all right, this is a setup. This is a sting operation. And so I was out front of his place, chain smoking and drinking out of a bag. And I finally said I guess when I was on the air, I go, all right, I'm not here for no reason. You didn't just pick my name out of a hat. And he said, well, no, I heard you talked smack about me, whatever. He didn't say shit. I heard you talk bad about me, but I have a really fragile ego, so I never looked at it. I can't take that. And I was immediately endeared because I don't listen to do you have fans that say, oh, you should see what this guy's talking shit about you on fucking Reddit or whatever. I'm like, that's why I don't search my own name. Why are you sending me stuff that I go out of my way to avoid and acting like it's a friendly gesture?
Just so you're aware of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should bring up one thing that we both ran across after we talked to you is one of my favorite podcasts that you have ever been on. And I think it was called Whatever Spanky. It lasted about 4 minutes. And this guy from Ohio, you thought that he shared a name with one of your old friends?
Yeah.
Huggy Bear Hughes.
Huggy Bear, yeah. Huggy Bear Hughes. And then the guy died.
Yeah, he fucking died.
That got fucking ugly.
Yeah, because I think I maybe saw you tweet about it and went and found for people that hadn't seen it. Well, maybe you can explain it. It was Norm Macdonald-ish uncomfortableness watching, and I fucking loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he put it out regardless. He had a name. I thought he was an old friend of mine. And then when he got on the screen, I'm like, oh shit. I thought I was doing my buddy's podcast, and it was just completely awkward. And I tried to power through, but I was in no mood to do a podcast, even with my friend, much less this guy that just
does it with his friends.
And then he ended up dying. Like it was like a drunk driving wrong way on the freeway at 4:00 in the morning. So yeah, I tweeted about it or whatever. And then his sister contacts me saying, oh, you don't have any idea how much it meant to him, even though it was 4 minutes long. You're his hero. And he was so proud about that. And then she started emailing me saying, you have no right to talk about him on your podcast. Because I told this story on my podcast, and you're trying to like co-opt my brother's life and just relentless fucking hate mails. And then one that would back off, I'm sorry. And then doubling down. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Holy shit.
Damn.
How dare you talk about my brother? It was my story too.
Yeah. And I got to say, you were, as funny and awkward as it was, you were very kind to him. You tried to
Yeah.
power through and lift it up until you realized that he just had nothing.
Yeah, he's a guy who does podcasts with his friends in his tiny little town.
We talk about our town of Akron or wherever he lived. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I don't have much to add, especially if you don't have questions.
Yeah, and you kept it going as long as you could, and I think
He's just staring at you. Yeah, he would just stare at you, like waiting, waiting for it. It was
Yeah, like
so
it's my podcast.
It's so awkward.
But you did make it nice anyway. Like,
However, he was hilarious because he definitely put it out with the title "I Bomb with Doug Stanhope," and I was like, this guy knew he was bombing and just, capitalized on that.
Yeah, it was. I've had a few clunkers like that, but what have your favorite guests been since you've been going? What are you close to a year now?
Oh,
I think
almost.
9 months. I think. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to draw back from every week because we're starting to play more, and having to get guests is a pain in the ass.
Well, and then JB's doing everything as far as editing and doing all that stuff, and I need him to do our music stuff, and we're just running out of time,
But anyway, we've had some great ones. We've had everybody from you to Tom Papa,
Mark Norman,
Ari Shafir.
Oh, I love both those guys. Mark Norman was at Skankfest.
Yeah.
He's fucking great. There's so many great comics in that clique.
It's a good
that's
class.
the right word.
Yeah. What about Shane Gillis? He's one of my new favorites. I think he's hysterical.
Yeah, no, Shane came out here at the beginning of COVID. I'd only met him once briefly in somewhere in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Right.
Oh no.
As COVID struck, he was stuck on the road somewhere, and he just said, "Hey, can I come out there?" He was here for like 3 weeks, and then he came back. He was at Skankfest. Yeah, he's one of my favorite people alive.
How was the 3 weeks? Must have been a strange or fun. I mean, you guys both hit it pretty hard.
Yeah, but he's really good at taking care of himself. Like, he doesn't need attention. Yeah, he'd crawl out of bed at 5. He'd stumble out of the guest house and get coffee, and then we'd ease into another night of cocktails. And that was back when I was doing, I did a 30-day news break where I didn't watch any news, even local gossip. I don't want to know about anything about the outside world for a month. And this was April of 2020. So I assumed that when I finally found, all right, tell me what happened in the last 30 days. And really nothing happened in April. It's basically the same shit. If I'd have done it in May or June when all the Black Lives Matter shit started up, then it would have been fun. But
yeah.
But it did cock block a lot of conversations where Shane would go, "Oh, fuck, you see, oh, God damn it. Can I not tell you anything?"
So nobody could even tell you anything either.
No, I wanted to know nothing, because at that point it seemed like we were racing towards a dire end. And now, no, same shit, just no one cares.
Yeah, same bad news, and everybody's like, "Yeah." But I mean, it's been a good, like, just hanging out with the comics. We've become drinking buddies with Kathleen Madigan.
Oh,
she was on. She lives local here.
Oh, we were just talking about how much we like her.
She's the greatest, man. Great hang. She's hilarious too.
And she's helped me in other areas too, like just other like opportunities. I'd run it by her, and she's like, "I don't think so. That sounds like bullshit." Or she'd be like, "Yeah, you should check into that, but get an attorney." She's been cool, because show business is show business. So she's been,
we got one of your ladies from Nashville. Mackenzie from Bird Cloud lives in Arizona now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I wonder where she went.
She's been down a lot, hanging out.
I want to hang out with you guys. I love Mackenzie.
Come out, play a gig. I'll give you $4,000.
Trust
waiting
me.
for it to batch. Yeah,
just waiting for my card to batch. Yeah, we've done that. We did a video with Ari Shafir that might come out at some point. He came through Zanies, and Raylan, we kind of me, Raylan, and another guy, Pepper, had written a theme song for his podcast.
Well, Pepper wrote the song, and then JB and I covered it. This theme song, because on YouTube you can't use music that you don't own. So Pepper wrote Ari a song that he could use on YouTube, and then JB had this idea over the pandemic when we were doing anything. He's like, "Hey, let's cover this song," and I'm like, "Why? This is dumb. This is a waste of time." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's funny." I'm like, "Okay," so we do it. And then now that's what Ari uses as his YouTube
So we recorded a
theme
music
song.
video when he was in town for it. Now with Ari, we've learned that you email something and,
who
a
knows?
month later you get a response back and like, all right, he's finally blowing us off. I'm like, oh, I just finally getting around to this. So
Yeah, we
that'll
don't know if it'll ever come out.
And also Raylyn did her first 5 minutes of comedy in front of people.
I did.
Oh yeah, where was that?
Well, it's at this this
Well, to
huge
be fair,
spot.
yeah, to be fair, we both did some. We did a song with Josh Wolf
Oh
at
yeah.
Zany, so that was in a legit comedy club.
Yeah, and Josh Wolf now just moved over your way. He's in Vegas now, I guess. He just moved
is
over
he?
there. Yeah. Wonder if he'll come hang out with you. He does this music thing now here at shows here in Nashville. Well, now he doesn't because he moved, but he was once a month doing these music shows. So we got it there a couple of times and did our parody of On the Road Again called On the Pole Again. So
It was a COVID song.
it was
about
a COVID
having
song.
to stop singing and get back to stripping.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah. So and that seemed to go over well. So we kind of dipped our toes in there, but also that was a music thing. So I feel like that's not really stand up. But so at this tiny little place in a strip mall in Donaldson, it's called Wind Down.
Well, we set it up. We had Don Jameson on the podcast, and we're talking to him, and he happened to be coming through here.
Do you know Don Jameson, the metal show
I
guy?
don't think so.
So he,
Comic?
yes. Yeah.
I'll just say yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
He and Jim Florentine, that whole kind of crew.
All right, I know Jim. It sounds familiar, but my brain is. I forgot about this podcast till I sat down at my computer at 1:30 and saw the Zoom link, and I went, "Oh shit! Thank God I caught that." I started doing a crossword puzzle, and 1:45 I'd forgotten again. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna sit in front of the fucking Zoom thing so I don't forget in another 15 minutes. So yeah, Don Jameson might have saved my life in Vietnam for all I know.
So we did a podcast with him, and he did that metal show. So it was a bunch of music stuff. And JB actually fucking did it. You fucking asshole. He's like, Raylyn has been practicing her 5 minutes. She could come down and open for you. And Don's like a nice guy. So he's like, yeah, you should. So
you went down and did it, and apparently it went okay. I couldn't go see it.
JB didn't come and see me do my first 5 minutes.
And I heard it was good, which makes me happy and sad. I'm glad it went well,
Oh,
but
shut up,
I
don't.
love it when she bombs. So I was really hoping to get like, oh, she went up there and it was ugly.
No, I'll send it to you. I'll email you my 5 minutes. You don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. But
Oh no, I'd love to.
I mean, I did like kind of well, in the middle, I'm kind of bombing a little bit, but I feel like, maybe it gets a little better in the end.
Well, people are usually, comics are very supportive, and crowds are, when they know that you're doing stand-up and it's not something you do. I know people that don't watch stand-up of any kind because they feel too nervous for the performer. Like it just makes them like, oh, they picture themselves like, what if I was alone up there? What if this guy, they're putting that feeling onto the performer, and they just go, it just makes me too uncomfortable to watch.
It's like people can't watch mountain climbing documentaries because they're watching that guy and they get that feeling like, oh God, he could fall off at any point. It freaks them out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shaking. I mean, and I've performed in front of lots of people. We've done it for a long time. I've told jokes on stage in between songs, but I was shaking. And it was like maybe 25, 30 people that were there.
That's probably scarier than 1,000 though, really, because you can see every face that's looking and judging you.
Oh, I have bombed fucking horrifically. Like the dream bomb that you have where you go on stage and you can't remember your material and everyone hates you and you don't know what you're supposed to do next. I had that live speaking in front of City Hall here, like just fucking trembling and fucking up my words and talking like you're talking to a cop with a dead hooker in your trunk. That kind of
Yeah.
my voice is cracking.
Yeah, I couldn't take the microphone off the stand. I was just holding on to it for dear life. I mean, I've had microphones in my hand forever. It was just such a different thing, because in reality, you can't play a song if nobody likes what you're saying. And I was just like trying to make sure that I missed so many jokes that I had planned. It's just a trip. It was definitely, I was like, holy shit. This is hard.
Stand up for me is kind of like a woman who can only have an orgasm under like the right conditions and temperature and humidity, with the right music playing in a certain position. Like when I've been like had to do TV where I had the clip-on microphone and no handheld, then I have no idea what to do with my hands. Do I hold 2 beers at the same time? I need my microphone. I need my stand. I need my stool. I need certain things.
It is funny. Comedy is kind of a fragile thing, as far as like you could pull up a guitar and play a song for anybody, but comedy almost needs to be in a proper setting. You can't just throw that shit up anywhere, under a bridge or in the cafeteria or whatever, and make it work, really.
Yeah, we would, when we were first started, barnstorming, playing rock and roll venues. You go, okay, you say it's 275 capacity room, and you don't ask things like, oh, do they have lighting? You just assume.
Right.
Like, we've showed up at gigs where they go, oh, where's your PA? Just like the guy building the fucking thing in Colorado. Like, where's your PA? Like, we assumed you had a PA. Yeah, get a mic and a mic stand, things like that. And then we spent all day, trying to find anyone who had a PA. And then you show up to some gigs and they said it holds 300, but they didn't tell you that half of that is on another part of the bar that can't see. It's a different room. Yeah, it holds 300 people, but 175 of them are at a different bar in a different area of. Like, fuck this.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be back doing, improvs, and, Helium Comedy Club is really great because you don't have to think. Everything is in order. They're going to send a waitress to your green room. You're going to have a green room. A lot of the times we do mobile green room when we're playing a rock and roll club, but they don't have a green room. So we just pull the van up to the fire exit in the alley, and I just sit in there and smoke cigarettes, trying to listen through the door with the window cracked.
That is exactly the green. We've had green rooms provided for us and still pull the van up in the fire escape and sit in there because you don't get hassled by anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you have to walk through the crowd to get to the green room, well, then there's no point in having a green room.
No. And we all want to smoke. Let's be real. Yeah.
I'm amazed that you guys smoke and you're not smoking on this podcast.
Because we're in the museum.
Again, we're in the Willie Nelson and Friends Museum, so her grandpa apparently won't let us smoke in here.
I'm not going to, we can't smoke in here.
He's kind of an asshole when he gets right down to it, Doug.
No.
Unless it's weed.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's allowed here.
Yeah, patrons are walking through here, and technically weed isn't legal here in Tennessee.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
And then right when we first started this podcast, they're gone now, but there were some octogenarians walking around in here looking at suits and shit. I'm like, well, this could get ugly because they can't ever hear what you guys are saying. They just hear us going, yeah, and this fucking guy and blah, blah, blah. And then silence for like 45 seconds. So we get the strangest looks.
Yeah. But I'm jealous of your cigarette right now, for sure. But yeah, you can actually pull your van close enough to the venue for you to hear for us, listening to the music that's happening in there. We can still hear everyone perform. It's not like we're not part of the show. We're just not right there listening and watching.
Well, if you were right there, someone would be talking to you. Hey, can't believe I'm so excited to see you. I'm like, I want to watch the acts in front of me, especially with comedy. I want to know if someone's talking about, whatever the news of the day was, because I already wrote a joke about it. And if they step on my dick, I need to adjust. So, and even comics in green rooms where you have local acts, they want to fucking talk to you because you're a working comedian and they're like a local open micer and they're so excited to be able to do a set in front of you. So then they want to chat with you while their buddy's on stage, while your opening act is on stage. And like, no, you got to shut up in the fucking green room.
And it is a weird feeling because I remember being a young kid opening for some kick-ass band, and you want them to come out and watch you play, and they don't do it, and you're kind of like, well, in fact, I didn't even hear it. But
before, the only time I wouldn't watch the opening acts is if I had to go, down some fucking fire exit and out in an alley to smoke. But no, because I remember when I was a kid and a working comedian came into an open mic. And everyone's freaking out, going, did he laugh at my jokes? What was it? Oh, he left before I got on? Fuck. And it would destroy you. Like, it was so important for a working comic to see you at open mic. So I remember that. And I try to watch. And again, I love it when people die. It's the most fun thing to watch is someone just completely eat the wheel of cheese. And so I don't want to miss that. I hate being like, I can't be in the room because then all the other people are going to try to talk to me. When you're a kid like that, you want to show off all the toys in your toy box.
Right.
Yeah.
Every joke that you ever thought of and everything that.
And they've been planning what they're going to say to you for like a week and a half. They got their opening lines. I'm going to get this in. I'm going to get this in. As soon as I get a chance, I'm getting it in because I know I'm going to be there Friday night opening up.
Yeah, and I know because I was that guy.
Yeah.
We all were starting, yeah. For sure.
And
but the bombing thing, like, I don't think some of my favorite bombs are like Norm Macdonald because he would just stretch out the silence to such an uncomfortable level and just lean into the bombing. Did you ever know Norm or any of that?
No, I met Norm a few times and talked to him on Twitter here and again, but we weren't good friends or anything, but I fucking love it. Anytime he was on Stern, it was great. Just on anything, he was great.
On the fucking View, that was some of my favorite stuff when he would go on and get in that panel with those winches on the View.
Yeah, I was always good with uncomfortable silence and dying on stage, but in any other arena, like I said, I can do stand up with my specific cocktail stool. Like everything's got to be perfect. But yeah, if I went on The View, even if I wanted to fuck it up and tank it, I'd feel really bad. Like I have a lot of manners. I was raised decently, and I'm allowed to do that on stage. Is my mindset. But to fuck up someone's talk show and just go overboard, I feel like that's impolite to do.
Yeah, you're a good person with a big heart, Doug Stanhope.
So I guess you pretty much, you don't hit, like every club you play from here on out, pretty much you've been to. Do you go to new clubs anymore? Or do you have your spots that you, like you said, you know what you're getting into when you go?
Yeah, you don't have to do anything you don't want to now.
Well, like the Heliums, I just started working Helium clubs, but they're towns that I've established in. I just changed venues. Nashville, I've always worked Zanies, but I have ventured out. I played the Exit Inn, which is really filthy. I had to stop doing standing shows just because I'm aging. My audience is, aging somewhat, and they can't stand up for an hour and 45 minutes.
Bad
Not
news.
conducive.
Yeah, we did a podcast with Brian and Lucy from Zanies too. Brian, big fan of yours, obviously.
Yeah, Dorfman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said you guys go way back.
Yeah, way back to. They used to. His brother used to run Uncle Funny's. Andrew Dorfman, the two Dorfman brothers, and they're pretty hardcore pricks. They're like really funny pricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Andrew would pick me up from the airport and he'd be just talking about how, so-and-so wanted to work here, but he had a pacemaker put in and he couldn't be around a microwave. So I fired him. Just shit like that. Just celebrating what a fucking awful person he is.
Yep. They wouldn't talk, or Brian wouldn't talk shit about anybody though. He was, he only said good things.
Well, he dislikes some people, but he wouldn't.
But he wouldn't
say
say it out loud. No, it would just be like you could tell, or maybe we're just assuming.
But he seems like a funny ball busting type of guy, not necessarily.
Yeah.
And didn't he say his brother was a stand up for a while?
I think Dorfman was one of those, the big Dorfman.
Yeah.
He played hockey in his off time. He's this massive chunk of flesh, this cigarette machine of a man. And he was the more ball busting one, but they were both really funny at it. I remember, do you ever hear of Otto and George?
No.
I don't think so.
It's like the filthiest puppet act ever.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
And he never changed his set. He had jokes that he'd been doing for 30 years, but it didn't matter. His lips moved more than the puppet. And he was a crackhead. And so Andrew would book me down in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, with him as a co-headlining XXX rated bill, because they know there's a really good chance he might not show up for a lot of the shows because he's a crackhead. And he was open about it too. I saw him at a comedy festival in Chicago where he's in front of industry and the puppet's going, "Shut up. Every time your fucking lips move, the show sucks. Everyone knows you're a crackhead. You don't show up for gigs. There's nothing to gain." The puppet is just undressing him on stage, saying every awful thing about his reputation. But yeah, he would book me with him, which was hilarious. I mean, he was filthy to the point where sometimes I had to leave the room. Not just filthy, but like, you know what I hate? Black guys with tattoos. I can't see. Hey, brother, you like my tattoo? I can't see your tattoo. You should have done it in whiteout, you filthy circus ape. Oh, George, you can't talk to people like that. And I'm like, there's black people in the room. I'm fucking leaving.
Jesus Christ. The guy
terrible.
He had those crackhead balls, man.
Well, no, it's the puppet. People just go out the puppet. I mean, he's got the legendary story about some mob guy that ran a room that he worked and fucking stabbed the puppet after the show. I don't know if it's urban legend or not, but I love the story.
Earlier this year, I also went to the Comedy Store for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever get out to the Comedy Store anymore?
Yeah, I think I'm playing there in end of February or beginning of March, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I know California is really fucking strict and weird, and I have UK dates coming up, and they keep saying, there might be another lockdown, and
yeah,
that's March's problem. Yeah, I deal with that problem that day.
People out in California, and you have friends out in California too, so they could tell you. But I think that they're doing that thing where you have to wear your mask until you sit down somewhere, and then you can take it off.
It's kind of like an airplane. You have to leave it on until you get your meal or your cocktail, which is fine because I'm never not drinking on a plane.
Yeah, I eat.
So my mask is off because I constantly have a glass in my mouth. There's constantly a straw in there.
She's not very good on planes, though. She got in trouble for screaming at a child.
No, that kid I didn't even scream at the child. He was pushing you know how they push you.
This is on
seat?
one of those late night. Well, you haven't done much of this, but
that's where we got COVID.
You catch the late flight from LA and fly back to Nashville. It's late as fuck by the time you get back to Nashville because you're losing 2 hours, you know. And it was I think we left at 9 maybe or 8. I don't know. Everybody was grouchy at that point on the plane.
But I wasn't grouchy. I just turned around to them and I was like, "Can you please?" He's hitting the seat. Then he kept doing it. And anytime I turned around, the old lady started yelling at me, "You're just picking on my kid. He's not doing anything." And then she went to the stewardess, are we allowed to say that? Flight attendant, told them I was picking on the kid. Told them I was picking on the kid. I was like, no. No, and then I just yelled at the kid as we're walking away. I did end up picking at the kid because I said,
No, this is before because we got out of the we walked out of the plane and the lady went up to one of the attendants, by the desk and started going, "This woman was yelling at my kid." And I'm doubled over laughing.
Picking
I
on
think
the
it's hilarious.
"Yo, you didn't stand up for me at all, and you know that the kid was doing it."
But that shit was funny. So I'm not going to be chivalrous when there's humor to be had. Funny always comes first.
So I'm walking away, and I just yell at the kid, "I'm sorry that is your role model." So I ended up picking on this kid in the end. Yeah, the only fights I ever get into are on airplanes.
Yeah, those are mostly coach problems.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm a million miler, almost 2 million miler with Delta. So yeah, they thank me for my service, basically like a military when I get on the plane.
How do you get through the no smoking on those long plane rides?
Doug's the guy up front going, "Could you handle that noise back there with the woman yelling at the child, please?"
Oh, and I have my vintage Delta pins. I have everything. I am such a company suck up for when I get on Delta. And you know what? Delta is, you see all the problems, the people fighting and getting thrown off of planes and all the ones that, they're the shittiest airlines, fucking American and Southwest. Those are the ones that had to shut off alcohol service. But no, it's because you suck. You have zero customer service. I mean, I've been flying for fucking 30 years. So there is a difference. And it's not just because of loyalty. That's why I have loyalty with Delta, is because they're the best airlines. They're almost never the airline that someone's getting thrown off of because they treat you decently.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking American Airlines and Southwest. I mean, Southwest isn't even really a discount airline anymore. I remember back in the day, it's $49 fares. And then all of a sudden the plane is like a Greyhound bus. Somehow they still have the reputation, even though they're charging just as much as any other fucking airline. But yeah, those are the ones that have the problems because they treat people like shit. Don't fucking blame alcohol. I mean, I used to have a bit about there's things you can't quantify. Like, all right, this guy got thrown off the plane because he was drunk. How many people are not attacking a flight attendant because they had a fucking few scotch and sodas and calmed down enough to let her live another day? You can't get statistics like that.
That's a good point. Now, to be fair, Delta doesn't have the hilarious flight staff that Southwest has, where they tell their jokes before you take off.
That used to be funny at first.
Oh.
It's kind of like a bumper sticker that's funny. And you go, well, yeah, it's been on your car for 4 years now. It's not funny anymore.
You're right.
I like Ike.
Okay, before we let you go, thanks so much for spending an hour with us. I want to ask you, did you ever celebrate Christmas growing up? When did you stop celebrating?
Yeah, no, I do love Christmas. I just don't do anything. I mean, I don't go out and buy gifts for someone. If I see something that's really cool, that's perfect for my tour manager, and he'll love this, or my wife would love that, I'll buy it and then give it to him. I don't go out searching for something someone might want on a certain day. Every day's Christmas with me.
Yeah, I like that. I actually had that deal with a few friends where we're like, let's not do Christmas. Let's just give each other anytime gifts, because you end up finding something for them. You run across something or whatever in the year, not really necessarily at Christmas.
Yeah, and I'm not the type that's got the wherewithal to buy it and then keep it in a drawer for 6 months until Christmas.
Yeah, no.
Much less remember it's in the drawer.
No, we're not.
Exactly.
We're not.
I want that instant gratification. I want to give it to you now.
Yeah.
But I love Christmas lights. I got Christmas lights all over the inside and outside of my house all the time. I fucking hate the songs are a little trying, but
yeah,
for sure.
Okay, but I really like.
Do you have a Christmas song?
Fuck no.
No, but we did cover we made
this
bit of a spoof video. You remember the old Bing Crosby, David Bowie fucking MTV thing where they'd come out and it's kind of a combo of a little drummer boy and something else. It was Bing Crosby leaning on the piano and David Bowie, and they sang this duet. But it was
I don't remember.
well, it was early MTV days, and they used to play the shit out of it. So a couple of years ago, we did a spoof, not really a spoof, we did a legit cover of it, but spoofed the intro where they walk in and do all this English type stuff. So that's the closest we've come.
Yeah, I don't want Christmas.
I was thinking about that today. If I could write a song, I would write a Christmas song because they're so desperate for anything new to play at Christmas that everyone's not sick of hearing that they would play that for the fucking grandma got run over by a reindeer. I remember when that was funny for about 5 minutes. They still play that fucking 40 years later, and someone's cleaning up on royalties. I would write a funny or whatever kind of Christmas song just because you know it would go into rotation. Anyone would be desperate. Oh, there's something different.
Yeah, we talked
Especially
about that.
If it was good.
I think that's the part right there's the kicker right there. I think it's probably difficult to write a good, like, Jesus Christ, well, no pun intended, but Jesus Christ, everything's already been used, you know? I mean, like the subject matter, you got to get broad with it, I guess.
And then there was I Saw Mama Kissing Santa Claus. That was kind of funny.
Cute.
It was
Cute. Yeah.
But
I don't know if you really call it a Christmas song. The one that I like is the Pretenders 2,000 Miles.
Oh, yeah.
And it mentions Christmas. It's kind of a Christmas song. And are there any Christmas-ish songs that you like?
I tell you, the one I love is Father Christmas by the Kinks. I don't know if you've ever heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones. That's just a great fucking song.
Give us
anyway.
your money. Yeah, that stands up.
That one's funny every time, and it sounds great. It's a rock band.
I like the Beach Boys Little Saint Nick one. That's one that never makes me feel like it's
some of the worst though are when the hair bands would put out a Christmas record. I know that I've heard some of those on the radios where it's like I don't even know the names of the bands, but they just basically copy the song as written, but put metal guitars and have the guy scream. You know, I Saw Mommy Kissing. Really, that's a bad genre right there. The hair metal Christmas is a bad genre.
There's a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by NSYNC. I really like that one.
I'm familiar with that one.
Do you know that one?
There's the George Michael one that makes me want to cut out my own ears.
Oh, everybody hates that one.
What is that one?
God damn it.
We're both doing the same thing.
What's the one where they're like, last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
That's the one.
That's the one.
I hate that one.
The very next day, you gave it away.
The very next day, you gave it away.
Yeah.
I hate that one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's fucking terrible.
the worst. What about Mele Kalikimaka? Are you into that one? Mele Kalikimaka is the right way to say Merry Christmas to you.
I will say for the Beatles being such a genius band, those two guys wrote some of the ones that I can't stand. That fucking
I don't know him.
Paul McCartney's Christmas song is really fucking... Yeah.
Really having a wonderful
Christmas time.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's fucking awful. But the Beatles suck. We know it.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Beach Boys beat the Beatles.
I read a Beatles biography book on tape back in the old before Audible, and they were just good. The biographer was going into all the great, like, I don't know shit about music, but I know the fucking early Beatles were like the dumbest fucking songs ever.
Yeah.
They were those 50s. I want to hold your hand.
You know I love you. Really? This is genius?
Yeah.
This is fucking pap. This is a boy band.
Yeah.
Most of them, and still until I started doing drugs, and then I still hated them anyway. Helter Skelter, and my favorite is Hey Bulldog, which nobody knows.
Oh, that's a great one.
I think the Foo Fighters covered that.
Yeah. Taxman's not bad.
Do you like the Stones? Rolling Stones?
Yes.
So you're a Stones guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beach Boys? No? Yes? Beach Boys?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I understand people loving the Beach Boys, but that's one that I never really got. It's like, that sounds like
love
some
it.
they sang great harmonies, all that.
It's catchy music.
But that was one that just went by me. I was like, but it sounds like a surfing guys.
When people say I like all sorts of music, I dislike all sorts of music. I dislike most music most of the time. And when you say, what kind of music do you like? Oh, okay. I like, there's a line in an Alan Parsons Project song where it says, the sun in your eyes makes some of the lies worth believing. And I fucking love that lyric and the way they sang, but I don't necessarily like the rest of the song, much less the Alan Parsons Project themselves, or even the genre that it's in. So what kind of music do you like? I like when they do that sun in your eyes makes some of the lies worth believing. And that's probably only because I was going through a fucking breakup at the time, and that resonated in my life. So yeah, I like that line. Otherwise, turn it down. I'm trying to talk.
I don't like bands. I don't like songs. I like tiny segments of songs. That's your genre. Yeah.
Sometimes you like the verses and not the chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the dumbest fucking lyrics. I think the fucking Trashmen, the Bird song, "Bird is the Word." When they throw that out, I love that fucking song. Bird, bird. There's no words in that. A papa ooh ma ma on that, but they're fucking shredding the whole time. I believe that band.
Yeah. Love, Death, and Foreign Countries is where you find yourself enjoying songs that you would otherwise hate. Like you're at a fucking weird casino in Belize and Joan Jett comes on and you're fucking jamming out. And like, I wouldn't listen to this at home. Or when someone dies, all of a sudden the song has, a meaning. Or when you're in love, every fucking song is about you.
We might have to steal that line, "Love, Death, and Foreign Countries." That's a good song title.
Yeah, it is.
We might have to write it.
And we might have to write a Christmas song with Doug Stanhope.
Yeah, we'll cut you in. In for a word, in for a third. That's the publishing rules here in Nashville.
Yeah, Love, Death, and Foreign Countries, but nobody likes a Christmas song.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, we'll start it.
Let's do it.
All right, Doug Stanhope, thanks for doing this with us again.
I love you both. I can't wait to see you, and hopefully in Bisbee. Playing on the patio when the weather gets good.
All right, I'm coming out next year.
All right.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Doug Stanhope is my favorite comedian, for real, for sure, definitely.
What a way to start. What a way to end the year. I love me some Doug. It gets no better.
He's the best.
Everybody
He's the best.
loves
He's the GOAT. I mean,
so there you go. Until next year.
Happy New Year, guys.
I know your mama's name.
Enjoy your groceries.
Don't be an asshole.
We freed Britney in 2021.